Borderlands 4 is finally here, and with it we get 4 brand new Vault Hunters ready to jump into the chaos. I know what you're thinking, you just want to dive straight into the action and pick your character. But which one should you choose? Trust me, I did a ton of research to answer that question for myself, and let me tell you, it didn't make the choice any easier. That's why in this video we are breaking down all the 4 new Vault Hunters, looking at their unique traits, skill trees and how they perform both in solo and multiplayer. And don't worry guys, this gameplay is completely spoiler free. All the content you'll see here comes only from official released trailers, so don't worry about that. And with that out of the way, whether you prefer a DPS machine or a crowd control monster, by the end of this video you'll know exactly which Vault Hunter is perfect for you. Hey guys, Sarunix here, and before we jump into the characters, let's quickly talk about what actually makes each character different. So each Vault Hunter comes with 3 unique skill trees, and each tree has its own powerful action skill that completely change your playstyle. The cool part, you can respec your skill tree while playing, which means you can experiment and create tons of different builds. And on top of that, every Vault Hunter has also a passive trait that's always active no matter how you build them. The variety this time is insane, and that's what makes picking your main even harder. Alright, so now that we know the basics, let's dive into our first brand new Vault Hunter. The first one on our list is Rafa, the Exo Soldier. And if you ever wondered what a soldier from the future would look like in Borderlands, this is the closest you'll get. Rafa is all about that classic run and gun DPS style. Fast, aggressive and built for pure chaos. Rafa is extremely quick and comes loaded with flashy high-tech tools, making him one of the most versatile Vault Hunters we've ever seen in this franchise. And his unique trait called Overdrive takes things to another level. Every time Rafa uses one of his 3 action skills, which I'll show you in just a second, he gains 10% more damage and 25% boost to his movement speed for the duration of the skill, plus 12 seconds after. Alright. Let's talk about Rafa's first action skill. His first action skill called Arc Knife. When Rafa activates it, he pulls out his blades and the game shifts into a more intense first person view. Suddenly you're dashing around the battlefield, slicing enemies with lightning fast melee attacks and leave them marked. And here's the best part. Once your enemies are marked, you can unleash a finishing move called Blade Fury. This hits every marked target with bonus damage, and honestly, it just looks insanely badass while doing it. Next up is Rafa's second action skill, the Apophis Lance. When you activate it, Rafa equips a massive offhand arm cannon. Yeah, that's right, you're literally rocking a gun in each hand. The lance lowers your regular gun handling a bit, but in return it lets you fire piercing shock blast that shreds straight through enemies. And here's the neat bonus. Any charges you don't use while the skill is active are instantly converted into cooldown reduction, so you can get Rafa's ability back even faster. And finally, Rafa's last action skill, the Peacebreaker Cannons. When activated, Rafa deploys his giant shoulder-mounted guns that automatically lock onto enemies nearby and unleash devastating kinetic fire. If your target goes down, the cannons instantly switch to a new enemy, keeping the destruction flowing non-stop. Trust me, this skill is super strong early on, but once you hit endgame and build the right loadout around it, it becomes completely broken. And we are talking about god tier damage that melts everything inside, making him one of the strongest Vault Hunters for farming purposes. Next up we got Vex, the Dark Siren. Think of her as a necromancer class of Borderlands 4. Instead of blasting enemies with pure elemental damage like parsed sirens, Vex focuses more on summoning and commanding an army of spectral allies. Her unique skill is called Phase Covenant. This one's crazy. Her minions actually take on the elemental type of whatever gun she's holding right now. That means you can get creative and stack some truly insane elemental builds with her. First, we've got the skill Dead Ringer. With this, Vex can summon up to 3 spectral allies, melee reapers or turret spectres. Reapers move around the battlefield, slashing enemies and even taunting them, while being tanky enough to stay alive, while spectres on the other hand are stationary, but if you put them in the right spot, they dish out massive damage at every stage of the game, early, mid or late game. Her second skill is Face Familiar. This summons her beast, Trouble, and once you've unlocked Face Familiar, Trouble is always on Vex's side. When you activate the skill, he becomes bigger and is now called Big Trouble. He teleports around, taking hits and causing absolute chaos in the battlefield. And finally, Vex's final skill, Incarnate. Instead of calling spectral allies, she becomes one herself and basically enters full demon mode. Activating it deals a huge AoE blast, and while transformed, Vex gets an insane weapon buff and a lot of lifesteal. So yeah, if summoning an army of ghostly allies or transforming into a spectral powerhouse sounds like your thing, Vex is going to be your best pick. Now let's talk about Amon, the Forge Knight. If you ever wanted to see Kratos in Borderlands style, this is your guy. Amon is the true definition of an elemental juggernaut built to smash through enemies with raw melee power, elemental chaos and pure frontline dominance. He's actually one of the most action skill focused Vault Hunter in Borderlands 4, and that's because of his unique trait called Forge Skill. Here's how it works. Every one of his action skills comes with an extra Forge skill. Tap the button for the normal action skill and hold it down for the Forge version of the skill. Both have their own cooldown, so technically Amon doesn't just have 3 skills, he's rocking 6. So let's break them all down. First up is Crucible. This one comes with 3 charges. Each time you use it, Amon summons both a fire axe and an ice axe, letting him deal brutal melee damage, but the real fun is throwing the axes at the enemies. You can even pick them back up to reduce the cooldown, and his Forge skill here is called Double Edge, where you can throw a twinned axe, ice damage on the way out and fire damage on the way back. Deadly, flashy and super satisfying. Next one on our list is Onslaughter, and once activated, Amon buffs his weapons, boosts his movement speed, dashes forward and just wrecks the poor enemy in front of him with crushing punch. If you hold the button for the Forge version, you unleash Molten Slam, smashing a giant hammer into the ground for massive AoE damage. And trust me on this one guys, it feels as epic as it sounds. And finally his skill Scorch. This skill equips Amon with a Forge shield that completely absorbs frontal damage, turning him into a wall for his team. On top of that, you get a whip to lash enemies in the face with devastating cryo damage, and later on you can change the whip for other weapons too. The Forge version of this skill is called Firewall, raising a blazing wall in front of Amon that blocks incoming projectiles while boosting ally bullets with extra damage and speed when they shoot through it. With this skill you get the absolute battlefield control. So yeah, Amon isn't just a character. He's a frontline beast, and if you want to charge into the fight head first, crushing everything with elemental melee and basically feel like a Borderlands version of Kratos, Amon is your pick. And last but not least, we have Harlowe the Gravitar. Harlowe is a telekinetic crowd control specialist, and she's basically a siren with a physics degree. If you're looking for chaos, crowd control and massive damage, Harlowe is your girl to go. One of the best multiplayer characters hands down, and the reason? Entanglement. This trait makes it whenever Harlowe hits an enemy with her action skill, those enemies become entangled. This means that any damage one enemy takes is shared with all the other entangled enemies. So hit one and everyone feels it, which is just perfect for multiplayer. Her first action skill, 0 Point, lets her put an enemy into a stasis bubble, which is basically like trapping them into a mini bouncing ball. If the enemy is immune to stasis, it just takes normal damage, so you need to know which enemy it works on. Once the enemy is inside the bubble, press the skill again and you can slam the enemy wherever you aim, dealing huge area of effect damage. You can even smash the bubble into an explosive barrel for a super satisfying boom. But if the enemy inside the bubble dies, however, the skill goes on cooldown. So the best strategy is to pick a big enemy and mash them into the smaller ones. Coming to our second skill, which is called Chroma Accelerator, which is basically a nuclear ball of death. She fires an unstable energy ball that passes through enemies and deals cryo damage. If the ball reaches the end of its path or you press the skill again, it explodes in a huge area of effect radiation blast, dealing nuclear damage. If that's not enough, you can always upgrade the skill so the energy ball bounces across the ground multiple times, hitting everything in its path again and again, just to name one of the few upgrade possibilities you have there. Her third and last action skill is called Flux Generator. This skill lets her throw a tech device on the ground that creates a massive energy field. Enemies inside take cryo damage, while allies inside get a overshield to keep them safe. You can even reposition the field by pressing your action skill once again to where it's needed the most, giving you full control of the battlefield. In short, Harlowe is a perfect mix of damage, control and chaos. She's satisfying, she's fun, and she lets you make the enemies hurt each other while you dominate the fight. If you want to shine in multiplayer, Harlowe is absolutely the best character for you. And with that, we've covered all the basics for all 4 Vault Hunters. You should now have a good idea of who you want to pick. Let me know in the comments who's your favorite choice and why. When it comes to gear, pretty much every character can make anything work, but I'll be doing specific build guides for each Wall Hunter in the future, so go ahead and smash that subscribe button so you don't miss out on that. And let me say one final thing, because I put a lot of work into this guide, so I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, make sure to press that like. I'm a very small channel, it helps me out a lot, and with that out of the way, thank you so much for watching and see you in the Borderlands.